Good morning, everybody. Matt Steinmetz, along with Evan Giddings today. Darryl the Guru Johnson, he'll be off this week. That's all right.
Getting some good R&R.
Yeah, we got him covered. And, Evan, you know me pretty well by now. And when I have a choice, when I have a choice to go positive or negative, I'm always going to go positive. So we probably should start with the Niners today. Maybe we'll get to some Warriors a little bit later. They're struggling, but San Francisco 49ers, 7-3, feels like they're back. Solid win yesterday. And to me, the story yesterday was Brock Purdy, obviously. He was incredible, I thought. Accurate, poised. He drops that ball over the middle like he's been doing it his whole life. It's amazing the way he can throw that in-between ball and just split coverage. It's pretty amazing. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And here's my thought today, is that to me, you can doubt Brock Purdy still, or you can question him, and you can even worry that he may struggle down the line at some point or have a bad game when it counts the most. But to me, I feel like you look at the quarterbacks in San Francisco history. Montana won a Super Bowl. Steve Young won a Super Bowl. Jeff Garcia went as far as he took those teams. Kaepernick got to a Super Bowl. Garoppolo got to a Super Bowl. To me, Purdy is a quarterback, and the only thing that matters now is how far he can take this team. He's not going anywhere. He's going to be here for a while. Assuming he doesn't get hurt, he's basically on the clock like Garoppolo was on the clock at the start of his 49ers tenure. So there's going to be you can live with some stuff, and you hope he gets better, and he'll be able to break through at some point. But I mean, the only question I have anymore about Brock Purdy is whether he can quarterback a Super Bowl team.
And that's pretty impressive considering he's 14-4. Like, he's only played 18 regular season games, right? I mean, this basically marked his circle around the sun and then some. And Brock Purdy already has you wondering whether he can get it done or not, and he's 23 years old. Like, as much as the question is a fair one of whether he can play at this level in the biggest of games, we don't know. We're not going to know that for some time, and that's okay, because each and every week Brock Purdy seems to do something that just gives you a sense of comfort, that gives you a sense of the 49ers are going to win this football game, and each and every time he strolls out there on Sunday rocking the scarlet and red and gold, that you're going to be in the best possible position to succeed. Like, Brock Purdy was perfect yesterday by quarterback rating, 158.3. I don't know why that's the number, but for whatever reason it is, and he was perfect. Brock Purdy pitching that perfect game had you, like, there were a couple throws that were wows. The Brandon Ayuk 70-plus yard touchdown, that was a dime that he dropped in the bucket. The repeated throws that you're talking about over the middle, layering throws right above the linebacker's hands, but just before the safety can come in and take a shot. Dump-offs to McCaffrey. Like, he orchestrates that offense better than anyone else has in the Shanahan era. And I think the only reason that you have that question about whether or not he can get it done is because of his predecessor. If Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't around, or he had a different name or a different result, we would be lauding this kid for everything that he's done, which is just another ho-hum 300-yard day, 21-25, 330, and 3 scores. Like, that is not easy to do, and yet he finds a way the majority of Sundays to make you say, wow, that looked pretty damn easy.
Yeah, he's been terrific since he's taken over the starting job last year. I mean, he really has. A couple blips, but you name me a quarterback that hasn't had a couple blips in the last year. Everybody has blips.
Like, does that game piled on top of Jacksonville make you just kind of forget the 3-game losing streak? Like,
yeah, it
makes you wonder what happened over that month.
Well,
not to him, but to the team. Like, to the team.
Well, I think this is one of those where after some time and games have played out, you kind of take a step back and you say, okay, Cleveland. All right, he wasn't great, but Moody makes that kick, and now that losing streak's only 2, and it doesn't feel as bad. What if, I know it didn't matter at the time that Purdy may have been concussed, but doesn't it matter? Like, what if we found out that 1 or 2 of his interceptions in the game against what was it, the Vikings? It
Well,
was the Vikings and then the
Bengals.
Bengals. The Vikings is when he got hit in the head, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, for all we know, what if he was concussed when he's thrown 2 of his interceptions this year? Now, it doesn't matter. They lost the game. That's the way that one went. But it feels to me like Brock Purdy is getting even more poised, getting more comfortable, and man, he's been great. MVP consideration?
I do want to get to
what
that.
What is he, 18-5 with touchdowns and picks off the top of my head? Okay.
Yeah, he's leading the league in just about every quarterback analytic you could him and Tua are like 1 and 2 in every single spot, although after yesterday Tua might not be. But Brock Purdy right now, and you can put him in whatever conversation you want, but the only conversation that he and the 49ers seem to carry about is the letter W, and that's all that he's done. Like Brock Purdy to me, and I think there's some larger conversations to be had about the totality of his career, and especially some of the stuff that lingered in our minds from the 3-game losing streak. But just to put it in perspective, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a team that the 49ers should wipe the floor with. Like, they were 13-point favorites, so they pushed or whatever. But that's a game sandwiched between a get-right game that everyone was wondering which 49ers team is going to show up in Jacksonville. They showed us. They throttled the Jaguars, who got back on track this weekend. And then you got a short week against Seattle, followed by Philadelphia on the road, and then Seattle again. Like, this is absolutely a spot in a game on Sunday which the 49ers could overlook, could not take the Buccaneers seriously as a team that had lost either 4 in a row or 4 of 5. Like, they had not been playing good football, but quietly have some pieces that make you say this could be a tough game. They got a decent defensive line. They got weapons on the outside. They got a quarterback that has made a name for himself as a former number 1 overall pick, 7 comeback wins in his career. Like, they're not a bad team. And so the 49ers, that could have been not a trap game and one that they lose, but not one that they definitively put their foot on the throats of their opponent and say, this is not going to be your day. Once they went up by 20, they might have put it in cruise control a little bit. I know they had one loss, Hufanga, and an ACL tear. That is really unfortunate because he's a good player. But you got through this game virtually healthy, showing dominance offensively, and you also might have found out a little bit more about how much depth you have defensively. So if we're looking at this game, I think it's one the 49ers could have overlooked easily. And it would have been okay, too, because they're about to run through the gauntlet right now. But this was a game that you had to win, that you should have won, and that they did pretty handily.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's fair and accurate. To me, it's why now I think we know this is a really good team. Because I do think you go 5-0, you lose 3, then you get right against Jacksonville. I think that's the game against Tampa Bay where really, really good teams will look at the gauntlet, Seattle, Philly, Seattle, and say, we've got to maintain momentum. And I feel like the 49ers are one of those teams, especially against a team like Tampa Bay. If the San Francisco 49ers came out yesterday and were ready to play, didn't take this team lightly, and played really hard and focused, they were probably going to win the game. And that's exactly what happened. But you have to execute that first. I mean, to me, the best part about yesterday's game, if you're a Niner fan, is the no turnovers again. Because that would have been a way to get you beat yesterday, to turn the ball over. But if you're not turning the ball over and you've got stuff going, it's going to be a tough Tampa Bay was not outclassed, but I never felt like they were going to take control of that game or the 49ers were ever in danger of losing that game.
Yeah, and I think there are things throughout this game you could probably nitpick, and I'm sure we'll get into some of them throughout the 4 hours. But to me also, and I'm glad you brought up the turnover point, Steiny, because even though last week they demolished Jacksonville, from a perspective of Purdy, there were a couple throws that even Shanahan himself referenced as being poor decisions, like not exactly having great confidence in him deciding where to go to the football. Like that first drive, that Ayuk touchdown in Jacksonville was a throw that Shanahan did not like. There were other throws throughout that game that made you say, Purdy might have got away with this, might have got away with that. And that is also something that his detractors have repeatedly harped on. I don't know if you could make a single case in that category yesterday against him, because every single ball that he threw, whether it be into traffic, whether it be on the outside, tight window, wide open, whatever, and there were a lot of guys running free, but he hit all of them. Brock Purdy hits the layups, he can hit the pull-up jump shot, and he can hit the open three. And if you give him all three of those looks and he goes 21 of 25, like that's a game where Tampa Bay, to me, defensively tried multiple things, and Brock Purdy just said, okay, like that's fine. It's just going to work.
Right.
Like, it did not matter what they threw at him. And for me, the only way that he could have, given Tampa Bay a chance in this game was to have some turnover-worthy throws, and there were none of those.